There's a quiet revolution happening in living rooms, coffee shops, and corporate offices around the world. Women are beginning to ask themselves a question that feels both liberating and frightening. What if taking care of myself isn't selfish? What if it's essential? For generations, women have been taught that their value lies in what they give to others. We measure our worth by how much we sacrifice, how late we stay up finishing projects, how many people we can please in a single day. We wear exhaustion like a badge of honor and apologize for taking up space. But here's the truth that nobody tells you until you're already burned out. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and running on fumes isn't strength, it's self-abandonment. Self-care has become a buzzword, diluted by Instagram posts of bubble baths and face masks. While there's nothing wrong with these moments of pleasure, real self-care goes much deeper. It's not about indulgence, it's about survival. It's about recognizing that you are a human being with needs, limits, and a nervous system that requires rest to function. Self-care is the practice of treating yourself with the same compassion and consideration you extend to everyone else in your life. Think about how you show up for others. When your child is sick, you don't hesitate to rearrange your schedule. When your partner needs support, you're there. When a friend calls in crisis, you drop everything. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you treated your own needs with that same urgency? When did you last prioritize your mental health, your physical well-being, or your emotional peace without guilt? The guilt is where it gets complicated. Many women describe feeling selfish when they take time for themselves, as though their needs are somehow less important than everyone else's. This guilt is not accidental. It's been carefully cultivated by a society that benefits from women's endless giving. But here's what that guilt is really costing you: your health, your relationships, your career potential, and your joy. When you neglect self-care, you don't just hurt yourself. You model unhealthy patterns for your children, who learn that their needs don't matter. You bring resentment into your relationships because giving without replenishing breeds bitterness. You underperform at work because exhaustion kills creativity and productivity. You become a shell of yourself, going through the motions but no longer truly living. Real self-care starts with permission. Permission to have needs, permission to set boundaries, permission to say no. It sounds simple, but for many women, saying no feels like ripping up a social contract. We've been conditioned to be accommodating, flexible, and available. But every yes to something that depletes you is a no to something that could fulfill you. Every time you override your exhaustion to meet someone else's demand, you're sending your body and mind a message. Your well-being doesn't matter. Setting boundaries is an act of self-respect, not selfishness. When you tell your boss you can't work late again, you're not being difficult. You're being realistic about your human limitations. When you tell your family you need an hour alone to recharge, you're not abandoning them. You're ensuring you have the energy to be present when you're with them. When you decline social invitations because you need rest, you're not being antisocial. You're honoring your needs so you can show up authentically when you do connect. Self-care also means listening to your body's signals instead of powering through them. Your body is constantly communicating with you through fatigue, tension, pain, and stress. These aren't inconveniences to be ignored. They're information. When you're exhausted, rest isn't lazy. It's necessary. When you're hungry, eating isn't indulgent. It's fuel. When you're overwhelmed, asking for help isn't weak. It's wise. One of the most powerful forms of self-care is learning to regulate your nervous system. Women often exist in a state of chronic stress, constantly in fight-or-flight mode while trying to manage careers, families, households, and emotional labor for everyone around them. This takes a devastating toll. Deep breathing, meditation, gentle movement, time in nature, creative expression, these aren't luxuries. They're tools for survival in a world that demands too much. Self-care includes nourishing your mind and protecting your mental health. This means being selective about what you consume, from news and social media to the company you keep. It means seeking therapy when you need support, taking medication if it helps, and not apologizing for prioritizing your psychological well-being. Your mental health is just as important as your physical health, and treating it that way isn't self-indulgent, it's essential. It also means investing in relationships that energize you rather than drain you. Some people in your life will support your self-care journey, while others will resist it because your boundaries challenge their comfort. You may need to create distance from people who consistently take more than they give, who dismiss your needs, or who make you feel guilty for having limits. This isn't cruelty, it's self-preservation. Self-care requires radical honesty about what's actually working in your life and what isn't. Maybe you've been pursuing a career that looks impressive, but leaves you empty. Maybe you're maintaining friendships out of obligation rather than joy. Maybe you're living according to someone else's definition of success while ignoring what actually makes you happy. True self-care sometimes means making difficult changes and disappointing people who have grown comfortable with you sacrificing yourself. For women, self-care often intersects with reclaiming autonomy over our bodies and our time. This might mean saying no to unpaid emotional labor, refusing to smile when you don't feel like it, declining to explain your choices to people who aren't entitled to explanations, or simply taking up space without apologizing for your existence. It means recognizing that your body belongs to you, your time is valuable, and your energy is finite. Self-care also involves celebrating yourself and acknowledging your accomplishments instead of immediately moving on to the next task. Women are socialized to downplay their achievements and attribute success to luck or others' help. But taking a moment to recognize what you've done, to feel proud, to rest before tackling the next challenge, this isn't arrogance. It's giving yourself the recognition you deserve. The journey to sustainable self-care isn't linear. There will be days when you fall back into old patterns, when guilt creeps in, when you say yes when you meant to say no. That's okay. Self-compassion is part of self-care. You don't have to be perfect at taking care of yourself. You just have to keep trying, keep learning, and keep recommitting to the practice of treating yourself as someone worthy of care. As you begin prioritizing self-care, you might notice something remarkable. You actually become better at everything you do. When you're rested, you're more creative and effective. When you're emotionally regulated, you're more patient and present. When your needs are met, you're more generous and compassionate. Self-care isn't selfish. It's the foundation that allows you to thrive and genuinely contribute to the world around you. The women who change the world aren't the ones who sacrifice themselves into exhaustion. They're the ones who understand that sustainable impact requires sustainable energy. They know that you can't fight for justice, build businesses, raise children, create art, or make a difference from a place of complete depletion. They know that taking care of themselves isn't taking away from others. It's ensuring they have something real to give. You deserve to thrive, not just survive. You deserve to wake up feeling rested, to move through your days with energy and purpose, to have time for joy and pleasure, to pursue your dreams, to feel at peace in your own skin. This isn't a luxury reserved for some privileged few. This is your birthright as a human being, and claiming it isn't selfish. It's the most generous thing you can do for yourself and everyone in your life. So start today. Start small if you need to. Take 10 minutes to sit in silence. Say no to one thing that drains you. Ask for help with one task. Set one boundary. Rest without guilt. Eat when you're hungry. Move your body in ways that feel good. Spend time with people who see and value you. Pursue one thing that brings you joy. And when the guilt comes, because it will, remind yourself of this truth. You matter. Your needs matter. Your well-being matters. Not because of what you do for others, but because you exist. Self-care is not selfish. It's survival, it's strength, and it's the path to the thriving, fulfilling life you deserve.